Right now, sitting in your kitchen cabinet and your bathroom medicine chest are two of the most powerful problem solvers you own. One costs about $1, the other costs about $2, yet between them they can replace a whole shelf of expensive cleaners, disinfectants, and beauty products that you've been paying way too much for. I'm talking about plain table salt and a humble brown bottle of hydrogen peroxide. Most people only ever use them for seasoning food and pouring on a scraped knee. But these two cheap staples are quietly capable of so much more. So grab your salt shaker, dust off that peroxide bottle, and let's get into 10 tricks you'll genuinely wish someone had told you years ago. Number 1. Disinfect your kitchen sponge. Here's an uncomfortable truth. The sponge you use to clean your dishes is very likely the dirtiest object in your entire home. That damp food-flecked little pad is a 5-star resort for bacteria. Studies have repeatedly found kitchen sponges harboring billions of microbes, sometimes more bacteria than a toilet seat. This is where hydrogen peroxide shines. It's a natural disinfectant, and the way it works is genuinely clever. Hydrogen peroxide is basically water with one extra oxygen atom attached. That extra oxygen makes it unstable, and when it touches bacteria, it releases that oxygen in a burst that breaks the germs apart at a molecular level. That's the fizzing you sometimes see. To clean your sponge, grab the standard 3% hydrogen peroxide, the kind that comes in the brown bottle from any drugstore. Pour some into a bowl and let your sponge soak in it for about 10 minutes. The peroxide will work its way through the sponge, killing off the bacteria living deep inside. Afterward, just rinse it out with water and squeeze it dry. The best part? Unlike bleach, hydrogen peroxide breaks down into nothing more than water and oxygen, so it leaves no harsh chemical residue behind and won't taint the next dish you wash. Do this a couple of times a week, and you'll dramatically cut down on the bacteria you're unknowingly smearing across your clean plates. You'll also get more life out of each sponge before you have to toss it, which saves you a little money too. Number 2, clean your cast iron the right way. If you own a cast iron skillet, you have probably been warned never to scrub it with dish soap. That is because a well-used cast iron pan develops a seasoning, a thin, naturally non-stick layer of baked-on oil, and harsh detergents can strip it right off. So how do you get the stuck-on bits off without ruining all that hard-earned seasoning? Salt. Coarse salt, like kosher salt, is the perfect tool here because it is abrasive enough to scour away food residue, but gentle enough that it will not scratch the metal or wreck the seasoned surface. The method is simple. While the pan is still slightly warm, pour a generous spoonful or two of coarse salt right into it. Then take a folded paper towel or a clean rag and scrub the salt around the surface in circles. You will see it lift up the burnt-on food and grease almost immediately, with the salt grains doing the scrubbing for you. For really stubborn spots, you can cut a potato or a lemon in half and use it like a scrubbing handle, pressing it into the salt as you go. Once everything is loosened up, dump out the dirty salt, wipe the pan clean, rinse it briefly with warm water, and dry it completely. Finish by rubbing in a tiny bit of cooking oil to protect the surface. That's it. Your skillet is clean, your seasoning is intact, and you did not need a single drop of harsh chemical cleaner. Generations of cooks have kept their cast iron alive for decades, using nothing more than this trick. Number 3, whiten grout and banish bathroom mold. The grout between your tiles has a frustrating habit of turning gray, yellow, or even black over time, thanks to a buildup of soap scum, grime, and mildew. Scrubbing it with most cleaners feels like a losing battle. But hydrogen peroxide is uniquely suited to this job. Remember how peroxide works by releasing oxygen. That same reaction makes it a fantastic stain lifter and a powerful weapon against mold and mildew, which are organic growths it can break down and bleach away. And it does this without the choking fumes you get from chlorine bleach. For dingy grout, make a thick paste by mixing hydrogen peroxide with a little baking soda. Spread that paste right onto the grout lines. Let it sit for around 10 to 15 minutes so it can do its work. Then scrub with an old toothbrush and rinse. The difference can be dramatic, with grout going from grimy gray back to its original bright color. For mold and mildew on tile, in the shower, or around a sink, you can pour plain 3% peroxide into a spray bottle, mist it directly onto the affected spot, and let it sit for 10 minutes before scrubbing and wiping it away. One critical safety note here: never mix hydrogen peroxide with vinegar in the same container, and never combine it with bleach or ammonia. Those combinations can create harmful, irritating fumes. Peroxide does its best work all on its own. Used by itself, it is one of the safest and most effective bathroom cleaners you can keep on hand. Number 4, soothe a sore throat and freshen your mouth. When a scratchy sore throat sets in, you don't necessarily need to run to the pharmacy. One of the oldest and most reliable remedies is sitting in your pantry: salt. A warm saltwater gargle helps for a real science-backed reason. The salt water helps draw out excess fluid from the swollen, inflamed tissues in your throat, which can ease that painful, tight feeling. It also helps loosen mucus and rinse away some of the irritants and bacteria sitting in your throat. To make it, stir about half a teaspoon of salt into a cup of warm water until it dissolves. Then gargle it for 30 to 60 seconds and spit it out. Repeat a few times a day as needed. It's gentle enough that it's considered safe for both adults and kids old enough to gargle without swallowing. Hydrogen peroxide can play a role in oral care too, but here's where you have to be careful. Some people use a diluted peroxide rinse to help with bad breath or minor mouth irritation, since it kills the bacteria responsible. But straight 3% peroxide is too strong for your mouth. It needs to be diluted, typically with 2 parts water to 1 part peroxide, and you should only swish briefly and never ever swallow it. Swallowing hydrogen peroxide can upset your stomach and irritate your insides. For most everyday sore throats, honestly, the humble saltwater gargle is the safer, gentler, and time-tested choice. Save the peroxide rinse for the occasional bad breath emergency. Keep it well diluted, and if a sore throat lingers for more than a few days, that's your cue to see a doctor rather than keep self-treating. Number 5, clear a sluggish, smelly drain. There's nothing quite like the slow gurgle of a draining sink that just won't cooperate, or the faint, funky smell wafting up from it. Before you reach for a bottle of caustic chemical drain cleaner, which is hard on your pipes and dangerous to handle, try the salt approach. Salt helps in 2 ways here. It is a mild abrasive that can help scour away the gunk clinging to the inside of your pipes, and it is a natural deodorizer that fights the odor-causing buildup. For routine maintenance and minor slow drains, the classic move is to pour about half a cup of salt down the drain, followed by a kettle of very hot, near-boiling water. The hot water softens and melts the greasy buildup, while the salt helps scour it loose and carry it away. For a bit more power, you can pair the salt with baking soda. Pour roughly a half cup of salt mixed with a half cup of baking soda down the drain. Let it sit for several minutes and then chase it with that pot of hot water. The combination helps break down the emulsified grease and soap scum that is such a common cause of slow drains. Make this a regular habit, maybe once a week or every couple of weeks, and you'll keep your drains flowing freely and smelling fresh. It's a far cheaper and far gentler approach than harsh commercial cleaners, and your plumbing will thank you for it. Just remember, this works best for prevention and minor clogs. A completely blocked pipe may still need a plunger, a drain snake, or a call to a plumber. Number 6, erase tough laundry stains, sweat stains that turn the armpits of your white shirts yellow. A drop of blood from a paper cut, a splash of spaghetti sauce. These are exactly the kinds of stains that make people give up on a garment. But hydrogen peroxide is a stain-fighting powerhouse, especially against organic protein-based stains like blood, sweat, and many foods. For yellowed underarm stains and food spots, mix 1 part dish soap with 2 parts hydrogen peroxide. Apply that mixture directly onto the stain, gently work it in, and let it sit for around 30 minutes before tossing the item in the wash. The peroxide breaks down the staining compounds, while the dish soap lifts away the greasy residue. For fresh blood stains, peroxide is almost magical. Because blood is loaded with an enzyme called catalase, peroxide reacts with it on contact, fizzing up and helping lift the stain right out of the fabric. Dab a little 3% peroxide onto the spot, let it bubble, then blot and rinse with cold water. Here is where salt earns a mention too. For a fresh red wine spill on fabric, the first move is not peroxide at all, it is salt. Blot up as much of the wine as you can, then pile salt directly onto the damp spot. The salt draws the liquid up out of the fibers, often turning pink as it absorbs the wine before you ever launder the item. A word of caution with peroxide on laundry: it has a mild bleaching effect, so it is best reserved for whites and color-fast fabrics. Always test it on a hidden spot of a colored garment first, so you do not accidentally trade a stain for a faded patch. Number 7. Restore stained mugs and sanitize cutting boards. If you're a coffee or tea drinker, you know the look. That stubborn brown ring baked into the bottom of your favorite mug that no amount of normal washing seems to budge. Salt fixes this beautifully. Because salt is a gentle abrasive, it scrubs away those tannin stains without scratching the ceramic. Just sprinkle a little salt into the stained mug, add a few drops of water to make a loose paste, and scrub with a sponge or cloth. For tougher stains, add a squeeze of lemon. The mild acidity of the lemon combined with the scrubbing grit of the salt cuts right through the discoloration, and your mug comes out looking new again. Now for cutting boards, especially wooden ones, which can harbor bacteria deep in their grooves. Salt and 3% hydrogen peroxide make a great tag team here. Start by sprinkling coarse salt over the board and scrubbing it with the cut side of half a lemon. This scours the surface and helps neutralize odors from onions, garlic, and raw meat. Then, to disinfect, spray the board with 3% hydrogen peroxide, let it bubble and sit for several minutes, and wipe it down. The peroxide kills off the lingering bacteria that ordinary rinsing leaves behind. This 1-2 punch leaves your board clean, deodorized, and sanitized, which matters a lot when you're prepping food on it every day. Let the board dry fully before putting it away, since moisture is what lets bacteria and mildew move back in. Number 8. Whiten dingy whites without bleach. Over time, white sheets, towels, socks, and shirts tend to go gray and dull. The instinct is to reach for chlorine bleach, but bleach is harsh. It can weaken fabric fibers over time, and the fumes are not pleasant. Hydrogen peroxide is a gentler, more eco-friendly way to bring brightness back. Peroxide is a natural whitener. That same oxygen-releasing reaction that lifts stains also lifts the dingy grayness out of white fabrics, restoring them closer to their original brightness. And because it breaks down into just water and oxygen, it is far kinder to your clothes and to the environment than chlorine bleach. To use it, add about a cup of 3% hydrogen peroxide to your load of whites along with your regular detergent. You can pour it into the bleach dispenser if your machine has one. For especially dingy items, you can soak them in a basin of water with a generous splash of peroxide for 30 minutes or so before washing. Peroxide also doubles as a laundry deodorizer and can help freshen a musty-smelling washing machine, since it tackles the bacteria and mildew that cause those odors. Run it through an empty hot cycle now and then to keep the machine itself fresh. The one rule to remember is the same as before. Keep peroxide away from your colored laundry unless you have tested it first, because its whitening power does not discriminate. But for that load of whites that has lost its sparkle, this is a cheap, effective fix that is a lot less brutal than bleach. Number 9. Disinfect toothbrushes, retainers, and makeup brushes. Think about the things you put on or near your face every single day. Your toothbrush, which lives in a humid bathroom, often near a flushing toilet. Your retainer or mouth guard, which sits in your mouth all night. Your makeup brushes, which drag across your skin and into your makeup over and over. All of these collect bacteria, and all of them benefit from a regular peroxide soak. For toothbrushes, simply pour a little 3% hydrogen peroxide into a small cup and let the bristles soak for a few minutes. Then rinse thoroughly with water before your next use. It kills the germs that build up on the bristles, and a cleaner brush means you are not reintroducing bacteria into your mouth twice a day. It can also help your brush last a little longer between replacements. For retainers, mouth guards, and dentures, a diluted peroxide soak helps disinfect and freshen them, cutting down on the bacteria and odor that accumulate from being in your mouth. Dilute the peroxide with water, soak briefly, and rinse very well afterward so none is left behind. Makeup brushes are a sneaky source of breakouts because they trap oil, dead skin, and bacteria. After washing them with a gentle soap, you can dip the bristles in a diluted peroxide solution to disinfect, then rinse and lay them flat to dry. Cleaner brushes mean fewer clogged pores and clearer skin. The theme across all of these is the same. Peroxide's germ-killing power is perfect for the small personal items we use constantly, but rarely think to disinfect. A few minutes of soaking can make a real difference to your daily hygiene. Number 10. Kill weeds and deter ants. Let's step outside for the last one. Those weeds that sprout up between the cracks in your driveway, sidewalk, and patio are relentless. Rather than spraying expensive commercial weed killers all over the ground, salt offers a cheap and effective alternative for those tough paved areas. Salt kills plants by drawing the moisture out of them and disrupting their ability to take up water, essentially dehydrating them to death. To use it, sprinkle salt directly onto the weeds growing in the cracks, or dissolve salt in hot water and pour the solution right onto them. Over the next several days, you will watch those weeds wither and die. There is one extremely important caveat here, though. Because salt poisons the soil and stops things from growing, you should only ever use this trick on paved areas like driveways, walkways, and patio cracks, places where you do not want anything to grow. Never use it in your garden beds or anywhere near plants you actually care about. And use it sparingly, because salt can run off and damage nearby soil. Salt can also help in your fight against ants. Many people find that sprinkling a line of salt across the spots where ants are entering, like windowsills, thresholds, and along baseboards, helps discourage them from crossing. It is not a guaranteed permanent fix, but as a cheap first line of defense to break up their trails, it is worth a shot before you bring out anything stronger. So whether it is clearing stubborn weeds from the pavement or putting up a barrier against an ant invasion, that humble box of salt has a place in your outdoor toolkit too. And there you have it. Two of the cheapest, most ordinary items in your home, salt and hydrogen peroxide, are quietly capable of cleaning, disinfecting, whitening, soothing, and protecting in ways most people never realize. Just remember to use the standard 3% hydrogen peroxide. Keep it stored in its dark bottle so it stays potent. Never mix it with vinegar or bleach, and never swallow it. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these tricks are you going to try first? Drop a comment and let me know. And if you found this useful, give the video a like and share it with a friend who could use it. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss what's next. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.